And now, live in studio, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. He's a successful entrepreneur, published author, top listing agent, a real estate and finance expert that goes to bat for you every day as a consumer advocate. Your host and the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes.
Yes, here we are getting another day committed to being your consumer advocate. It's all about helping you understand your buying decisions, and we don't care if you're climbing the corporate ladder or if you throw a ladder in your truck on the way to work, and hopefully you're still working amidst this Chinese pandemic. But yeah, we want to help you win in any marketplace. This show's a little bit different from some of your other shows because we are a consumer advocate-based program. Save our hotline number in your phone. At some point you may need it. 813-670-7372 is our consumer advocate hotline number. 813-670-7372.
You used to call me on my cell phone.
Bookmark that number, save it in your phone. At some point you may need it. Also, check out our website, consumerqb.com. A plethora of information available for you on our website at consumerqb.com. You can see links there to all of our expert contributors, the finest folks in all of Tampa Bay and the Gulf Coast region that we've assembled and we've vetted to help you win in any marketplace, and that is your local marketplace right here in Tampa Bay. Coming up on the show, we've got Bob Henriquez. He is the Hillsborough County Property Appraiser. We're going to be talking about all things property values, property assessments. You know, you get that trim notice in August. What's in it? What does it all mean? We're talking about portability, talking about your homestead exemption, some of the different changes, how his office is operating day to day during the COVID-19 outbreak and pandemic. And also going to talk a little bit about football. Coach Henriquez, Bob was a very winning coach here in Hillsborough County and actually played against him in the state championship semifinals, the game before the championship back in 1996. Blast from the past. So we've been friends for a while, and also talking about things happening with the Hillsborough County attracting large companies. What are some of the strategies that we're utilizing in the mayor's office, in his office, as far as attracting businesses here to Tampa Bay? So we've also have Fred Muth as well. Tampa Screens and Aluminum going to be on the show as well. Tampa Screens and Aluminum, longtime friend of the program, talking about how they can help you as a homeowner add value to your business. And this segment is brought to you by wholebodyfuel.com, the official meal delivery service of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Wholebodyfuel.com. Excellent food, chef prepared by Chef Brian Adamo and his team. Convenient, healthy, delivered meals directly to your home or office. And wholebodyfuel.com. They also have the world famous protein donuts. Excellent food. And I love it. I love getting my delivery. I have the food delivered, and I have my meals ready to go, and we enjoy those. It's an awesome opportunity to have that meal delivery service, Whole Body Fuel Delivery, wholebodyfuel.com. And make sure you let them know the Real Estate Quarterback sent you. Take them up on those special offers just by mentioning you're a fan of the show. And we got a couple of hot listings right here in beautiful Tampa Bay. 520 George Street South is a property that we have listed right here on the lake, on Lake Tarpon in Tampa Bay. 2,500 acre lake, private boat dock, beautiful property here. $490,000 asking price. Bring your boat, jet ski, stand-up paddle boards, and fish from your very own dock and enjoy all that the Florida lifestyle has to offer right here in beautiful Tampa Bay. 520 George Street South, Tarpon Springs. Great opportunity to own real estate right here in beautiful Tampa Bay. Check out all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com.
Somewhere sunny and 75.
And make sure you stay with us right here when we come back. More from Bob Henriquez, Hillsborough County Property Appraiser, coming on the show. All you want to know about real estate values, homestead exemptions, and all that good stuff. Plus, our feel-good story of the day is a school librarian is using drones to deliver books to kids all summer. Follow us online at Brandon Rhymes1 on Instagram and Twitter, Consumer Quarterback Show, Platinum MVP team pages on Facebook, and we'll be right back after this short break. Don't go.
This is Chris Voss, former FBI lead hostage negotiator and owner of the Black Swan Group, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. You're listening to the consumer quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here. I'm your host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty, helping our sellers profit more on the sale of their real estate properties, featuring your listings live on air on our syndicated radio and TV show. Got a hot property right here in Tampa Bay, 12208 Four Oaks Road in Tampa. This is a development opportunity, 5 acres right in the heart of Tampa Bay. A great opportunity to own real estate, develop. You got an R9 zoning on this property. So we'd love to talk to any builders, developers about this property at 12208 Four Oaks Road in Tampa. Also 12500 Hamlin Road up in Pasco County. This is Spring Hill, 12500 Hamlin Road. Now, you got 41 acres here, great development opportunity. As you know, most everything is moving north. A lot of development is moving north, moving out east. You know, where can you build? Where can you develop? Well, we've got a great opportunity at 12500 Hamlin Road, and it's listed at $950,000. Great opportunity right here in Tampa Bay. Check out all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. And we're giving a shout out to the Bilmar Beach Resort, the official hotel partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Check out the Bilmar Beach Resort. Beautiful opportunity to go and have a local staycation right here in Tampa Bay, or if you're from out of state, enjoy a vacation on the beach. Bilmar Beach Resort, the official hotel partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. 2 pools on site. They've got Sloppy Joe's Beach Bar and Restaurant, and it's a great opportunity. A lot of fun to be had at the Bilmar Beach Resort. Let them know the Real Estate Quarterback sent you. Take them up on special offers and incentives just by mentioning that you're a fan of the Consumer Quarterback Show. All right, we got Hillsborough County property appraiser Bob Henriquez back on the show. Coach Henriquez, that is. Welcome back.
Thanks, Brandon. It's great to be here. I'd rather be there with you, but, in this brave new world we're in, that's great to hook up.
Yeah, man. Good stuff. And so we've known each other for quite some time now, back in the day. And, we were playing football against each other. You were a coach. I was a quarterback. And, man, it's funny how life changes and things go. And, here we are in 2020 with this facing a pandemic. We're facing a lot of unnecessary rioting and protests going on. A lot of weird economy that we're in terms of, all that stuff happening out there, Bob.
Yeah, it's, 2020, if there were a mulligan for years, I think we'd all take one.
That's right.
But, it's interesting times. There are a lot of uncertainty and, a lot of angst, as you know, but, we're doing the best we can to make it through. I'm very proud of my office and how we've been able to deal with the pandemic, in terms of being productive and still being able to provide quality customer service to our folks. And we really haven't missed a beat. So I'm very proud of them, and those guys make me look good every day. So.
Yeah. So we're talking about, when it comes to property values, some of the questions I get as a realtor is, well, why is my assessed value not what the actual, appraised value would be in terms of if I were getting a loan or if I were looking to sell it?
Yeah, that question is asked quite often. I think that there's a few factors involved, and people have to remember that the assessed date, or the date of assessment, to make it fair and equitable by state law, is that the assessment date is January 1st of a given year. So in August, when property owners in Hillsborough County receive their trim notice from me, it'll be based on January 1st of 2020. Obviously, it's close to 8-9 months later, so the market changes over time. That's probably part of the difference in terms of equation. The value of a property may have gone up 8 or 10% in that period of time. The other thing is that the actual value of the property is not necessarily the same as the sale price of the property, in that there's some things that are cost of sale that go into that. Hopefully your exorbitant fees that you're collecting, and other things. But so there's, and also we also have to remember that sometimes that individual sale price, when we're doing mass appraisal, if you're having an appraisal done for the value of the property for sale purposes, that's really a kind of a forensic look, very close look at, taking, a handful, 3 or so comparables in the neighborhood, really getting inside it and looking and finding all of the value that's within that property. We deal in mass appraisal, so we're using a base rate based on the neighborhood, and then adding factors to it, and basically on square foot, just base square footage, and as much as we can know about it. But we're not necessarily doing that really nuts and bolts, down and dirty that you would do in an actual appraisal. So all of that added together will account for that 10, 15, 20% difference in what might be the just or market value or sale price of that individual property versus the actual assessment value that you'll see in your trim notice.
Yeah, that's a good explanation. We're talking with Bob Henriquez. He's the Hillsborough County Property Appraiser here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. And Bob, also you've got the misconceptions from the public perspective. What else do you see as like some of the common misnomers people have when they get that trim notice? They're like, well, what do all these numbers mean?
Right.
What are some of the best?
Well, I think a couple of things are important. If you're selling your property, if you're homesteaded today and you sell your property, or as the term, abandon your homestead. So for the remainder of that year, whoever buys the property, if I sell my home to you, Brandon, you move in, for the remainder of this year, between now, June 23rd and December 31st of 2020, you will basically take over my tax burden for 2020. So in other words, the homestead exemption that was there, and the cap and whatever is that's what you're going to pay for the remainder of that year. Come the following year, assuming that you file for homestead exemption as your primary residence, then your homestead exemption would kick in, and at that point the cap would reset, the Save Our Homes cap, and a lot of times people's at that point their taxes go up, and they say, well, wait a minute, I was only paying X amount into escrow when I bought the property the year before. Well, that's because, again, you were paying into escrow what the previous owner may have been paying. So that sometimes can be something that needs to be made clear to folks as they buy or they close property.
Yeah.
And also the other thing is that you have, in terms of portability, so the differential between your just or market value and your taxable value. The cap, again, is set when you set your homestead exemption. There's a differential there. You can take that differential over the course of time as the value of the property goes up. Let's say the value of the property goes up 20% over the course of time. Your taxable value only goes up no more than 3% in any given year. Over the past few years, it's been below 3%, but it's inching closer to that 3%. We've had some inflation over the last couple of years. But either way, there's a differential between the just or market value and your actual capped value. That difference you can then take to your next homesteaded home to lower the initial taxable value. You actually have 2 tax years. So again, the remainder, if I were to abandon my homestead today, I would have between now and December 31st of 2021. So a year and a half or so, or a little less than that, to actually port. Otherwise, I would lose that portability. Some people think it's 2 calendar years. It's 2 tax years. Now, I will tell you, and this is important for the folks that are listening in, on the ballot this year, myself, Mike Twitty, the property appraiser in Pinellas County, and our association statewide pushed for the legislature to put a constitutional amendment on the ballot this November that would increase that amount of time to port to a full 2 years plus what's left of the year that you're in.
Oh, that's
so up to 3 years to port, and that's really become important because especially with new construction, or in case of people coming out of the Great Recession, they may not have been ready to buy a new home or something like that. People were finding a situation where they were running out of time and then losing their port.
Yeah.
This should fix a lot of that. Should fix that situation. So I would encourage folks to, when they see that on the ballot in November, along with seeing me on the ballot, to vote for it.
Yeah, that's right. So it is an election year then, Bob. Coming up.
That was a shameless plug.
Yeah,
Brandon.
exactly. Well, hey, you're doing a great job, and we appreciate you appearing on the show and serving as a consumer advocate, telling people here's some of the misconceptions. These are things that happen. Here's some of the things where you might want to look out for, and that's the backbone. That's what this whole show is about, is being that consumer advocate.
And along those lines, in terms of consumer advocate, I appreciate what you do, certainly, and your friendship over the years. I will tell you that one of the things we are wrestling with, and that we're going to try to take the lead on over the next few weeks is we're going to reach out to the leaders, thought leaders and policy leaders in Hillsborough County, and really kind of have them take a look at the effects of COVID and this pandemic, what it may mean in terms of property values going forward. And as we talked about before the show a little bit, the residential market is still very strong. It probably won't feel the effects of this until next year. But there's some other sectors, hospitality industry, if you're in hotel or restaurant, a lot of retail, a lot of things have been shut down or going to continue to be shut down.
Yep.
They're hurting right now. Unfortunately, their values are set as of January 1st, as we spoke about, of January of 2020.
Yeah.
And so it's as if a hurricane, a Category 5 hurricane, has hit the entire state.
Right.
So in the past, in case of natural disaster, the legislature has stepped in and tried to give us some tools as property appraisers to try to help the taxpayers of the area that's affected. In this case, it's the whole state. So I'm encouraging the legislature to take up in special session. I believe they'll probably go back into special session in the fall when they have to kind of readjust their budget to give us some ideas and we're going to throw out a few ideas, extending the amount of time that people have to pay their tax bill, maybe without penalty, perhaps again, adjusting the date of assessment, or allowing after that January 1st deadline, if you can prove that you've been affected negatively, particularly if you give us income information that shows that there's a certain percentage of value lost in that first quarter of 2020 or a date that they set, to allow us to help, the property owners, kind of help them going forward. I think whatever we can do now going forward will also allow those small businesses, in particular medium-sized businesses, that could not have been ready for this, even though the stimulus is helping to some extent. It's going to allow them to recover more quickly and hopefully rehire, if not continue to hire folks going forward. All of this is going to kind of fit together. As you know, there's a moratorium on evictions, foreclosures. That's sort of an artificial Band-Aid at this point, but when that goes away, we're not sure what the effects will be to the economy. So there's a lot of unknowns out there. I think it's incumbent upon us that are in elected office to take the lead to try to help folks out there.
Yeah, definitely, because the incomes are down. Same thing we talk about with we had Doug Levi on the show, and he's our insurance expert contributor. A lot of these business owners that are paying insurance for their businesses, they're based on higher numbers, projected income of a certain number. That's going to definitely be less because of what the Chinese virus, aka COVID-19, how that's affected everybody. So there's a lot of things to consider, and I'm glad to hear you guys are taking the lead on that. We're talking with Bob Henriquez here, Hillsborough County property appraiser. And Bob, let me run us another scenario. Somebody buys vacant land, so they have a tax base on the vacant land for $100,000, for example, and then they improve that property. They build their dream home. They move into that home. How is that looked at from a tax perspective, and what are we looking at in terms of how to advise on that?
That's a great question, and again, it's based on that magic date of January 1st.
Yep.
So in other words, if you have that vacant land, the value of the property is based on the land until the term is substantially complete. In most cases, that's considered by our office as being certificate of occupancy or CO.
Yep.
Once in a while, folks may not have their CO, but it is complete, and there's just they're waiting on that. But generally, so again, it's as of that January 1st deadline. So I would tell somebody if it's Christmas and your home is almost done, wait and get the CO January 1st. So that,
there you go.
Because you'll only be taxed on the land until the property, until you actually move in. Now, converse to that, there's some people that want to move in before January 1st so that they can establish their homestead as well. You have to make that decision. But generally, if it's an issue with new construction, it's always better to actually move in or occupy that as after January 1st, so that the previous year you're just only being taxed on the land.
Yeah, save some money on that little bit of period of time. Look at kind of weigh out the advantages there, and so we talk a lot about property values, things happening here in Tampa Bay, and For example, the amount of inventory on the residential side is still super low. So it's a great move up opportunity for folks that have a lower priced home and they say, hey, my income's increased. I got my new degree. They've got a raise, whatever that situation might be. And they are saying, hey, let's sell our $180,000 home and let's buy a $450,000 home. Maybe they got married, they have extra income. Great time to move that in that position because you got so much competition at a lower priced home, and there's a little bit less competition in the higher priced homes, that $500,000 home. So it's a great market for move up buyers. But as you mentioned, there's definitely going to be challenges, especially in the commercial side of real estate. We see that kind of coming, that trickling down. What else are you seeing from your perspective?
Yeah, I think that's a good point. Also, interest rates are quite low, so it's a good time. I just refinanced our home, as a matter of fact. I know a number of people that have. So, well, I think that the part of it, we kind of know, I think, some of the initial effects of what's going on. I think that there's going to be long-term effects in the market that we can't really anticipate fully yet, because I think as you start to make business decisions, this pandemic and the way we've had to do business has kind of, even in the government level, has shown us that there are probably other ways that we can do business effectively and efficiently, that maybe we don't need as much office space, or maybe we can hotel more people, or more people can do part of their work at home and part of it in the office. So I think if you're out there and your lease comes up, and you have office space leased out there, maybe you're going to decide to lease less space next time.
Right.
Or maybe you're also going to rethink the kind of open floor plans that have become so popular now, because you want to be able to create, more safe environment for folks in terms of, we kind of gotten away from the cubicles with the high walls and all that kind of stuff. Now you're kind of going back the opposite direction so that people have separation from each other. So I think there's going to be differences in terms of that as well. So, and again, we don't know. We know that there's a great deal of unemployment. We know that some employment's come back, and we would expect that as the economy starts to open up to some extent. But how much of the unemployment number that's out there is going to become, sort of solid unemployment? Because when you come back and you're trying to recoup some of the losses that you've had, and plus you've also found that perhaps certain folks that are working and are not necessary anymore, and they may be folks that are newer into. You may have hired in anticipation of the great economy that we were in.
Yep.
So those may be the folks you don't bring back. So I think there's still a lot of unknowns out there. I think it's foolhardy to think that we're just going to go back to business as usual and we're going to snap our fingers and it's going to be, 2019 and everything is great again. I think we just don't know. And you can't blame a business owner that's lost some profits, that is trying to, do the best they can. That's what the name of the game is in capitalism. For perhaps, if they had 10 employees, only bringing 7 back, or bringing some only on a part-time basis, or maybe, trying to figure out how they can recoup some of the loss they've had. So I think there's just a lot of unknowns that we don't know at this point. Yeah. And those are things that we're going to track and look at in terms of how that affects the property value. I think there's going to be long-term effect in the commercial market, office, certainly retail. A lot of, we've had huge chains that have shut down, but we've lost. And an interesting statistic I saw yesterday that something like 41% of the businesses that are expected not to reopen, that have closed down during this, are minority-owned businesses. And a lot of them are single proprietarships. Well, that's going to have a long-term effect on the economy. So there's a lot of unknowns out there.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, good stuff. Well, we got Bob Henriquez hanging on with us here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, Hillsborough County Property Appraiser. Bob, when we come back, I want to ask you a little bit about, maybe some insights on what we're doing to attract, jobs and infrastructure and those types of things. We had East County, we had Hillsborough County out east in Florida here. What are we doing? Or Amazon coming into East Hillsborough County. What are we doing to attract big companies to Tampa Bay? And then also the Super Bowl, huge event coming up here in February of next year. I want to talk to you a little bit about that and maybe a little bit of football here with Bob Henriquez here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Also, our feel-good story of the day coming up. A school librarian is using drones to deliver books to kids all summer. Stay with us. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
This is Work Done, and you're listening to the Real Estate Quarterback Show hosted by my man, Brandon Rhymes.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, online at consumerqb.com. Brandon is Tampa Bay's #1 consumer advocate for real estate and financial advice. Call Brandon today at 813-670-7372.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here, your host of the Consumer Quarterback Show, powered by the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. Big shout out to the Golf Cart Depot, one of our show sponsors, our Golf Cart Depot. 2 locations right here in Tampa Bay, Land O'Lakes location, Clearwater location as well. Say hello to Marty and his team over at the Golf Cart Depot of Tampa Bay. They do a great job over there. They've got the Easy Go, Star EV, Cushman, and they offer remanufactured and pre-owned carts available as well. And they are open. They're going to bring the carts to you if you'd like to test drive a couple. They also have the Icon electrical vehicles as well, available as well. Golf Cart Depot, friends of the program, support the local economy, support these local companies. Golf Cart Depot, make sure you let them know the Real Estate Quarterback sent you. All right, a couple of hot listings here. We got 19206 US Highway 19. This is a commercial property in Clearwater, and it is a large commercial asset at 19206 US Highway 19 North in Clearwater. You offer a freestanding building, and it's currently being used by a reputable auto dealership with many locations across the Southeast. Possible for a 1031 exchange. Great opportunity to own real estate right here in Tampa Bay. You've got 5 offices, reception area, kitchen, break room, conference room, 3 covered detail bays. Great opportunity, and more details to be found on our website, platinummvpteam.kw.com. Also, another commercial asset here in Tampa Bay, 8325 West Hillsborough Avenue. This is for local business owners. Maybe you own a business and you say, hey, I want to stop leasing. I want to own my own asset. Well, we've got a great one for you right here on West Hillsborough Avenue, 8325 West Hillsborough Avenue in Tampa. Large conference room, granite table there, small kitchen, 8 offices available right here in Tampa Bay, completely gated. You got electronics gate, security gate, 24/7 as well. Also, signage out on Hillsborough Avenue with about 40 to 50,000 vehicles going by daily over at 8325 West Hillsborough Avenue. Check out all of our listings at platinummvpteam.kw.com. got special guest Bob Henriquez here on the Consumer Quarterback Show, Hillsborough County property appraiser. Also, now he's a former coach. He's a coach of the Tampa Catholic football team. Now, Bob stands as number 8 on the Hillsborough County's all-time winningest prep football coaches, number 5 based on winning percentage at .554, and also served as assistant as Jefferson High. Are those accurate numbers, Bob? Or that's still accurate there?
So I might be in the top 3 if I hadn't lost to Jesuit so much.
Yeah, Jesuit. Yeah.
I will tell you that it's funny, and you probably the same way. You look back on your career and you remember the losses more than you do the wins. I don't know why that is. I mean,
Yeah.
It's probably just
Well, it's frustrating because some of the schools recruit too, so that was a challenge like we had as a small public school from Hendry County, LaBelle. And then after we played you guys in the semis, we went on to play Lake Butler, Union County. Now, that was a team that had,
Gerard Warren, right?
They had Gerard Warren, Benny Alexander, Andrew Zal. They were loaded. They had 5 consecutive championships in a row, I believe.
Right.
But they were recruiting people to their hometown because they had a prison. They give the dads jobs or something like that. So that's challenging.
It's interesting. When you look at that winning percentage, if you're successful in high school, they count all your games, including your playoffs. So unless you win a state title every year, you're going to have it. You're going to have a loss. I mean, you're going to lose at the end of the year. So if you take those out, my numbers look even better. But again, I was blessed. I had a lot of great players and great coaches, and I still dabble in it and get out there and try to help out a little bit here and there. I wish I could still do it, but but I have the opportunity to be a head coach of the property appraiser's office, and that's a great gig as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's stay on the football topic. Super Bowl's coming. Hopefully we have a season here. What are your thoughts in terms of Super Bowl coming, and what kind of challenges does that pose, and also what are the opportunities?
Gosh, well, the opportunities obviously are fantastic. We need that economic shot in the arm, but I think that it's still up in the air as to what that's going to look like. And I think back a few months ago, we thought, oh gosh, February is a long way away. Everything's going to kind of take care of itself. But we're looking at these continued predictions of different waves and things like that. So we'll just have to see. I'm hopeful that we'll have a football season. I think we all want to see Tom Brady in pewter and red, and I think we need to bring back some of these big events. I mean, we missed out on WrestleMania and some of the other things. Final Four. My daughter, I bought her. Well, I didn't. Santa bought her tickets for WrestleMania. So she was devastated. She's a huge WWE fan, and that was I mean, you can't underestimate that, how much that would have brought. Just as much or more than a Super Bowl.
Right.
So we've just got to hope and pray that somehow we find the back end of this thing and move forward with it. It's important, and it also helps from the standpoint it showcases this wonderful paradise that we live in the Tampa Bay area, and we missed out on a bunch of opportunities for that to happen. So let's hope for the best. I don't know what I'll do without football in the fall. When I find myself watching South Korean baseball and like the cornhole championships, I'm desperate. The one thing I will say, you can watch these Rays games; they never lose because they only show the winning games, right?
Yeah.
So I thought so they could be down like 4-2 in the 8th, and I know they're coming back, so it's worth watching.
Yeah, we're all missing sports, I believe. And let's talk about this. How much do you work with local leaders? Maybe the mayor. How much do you guys get together and talk about attraction strategies for large companies? We mentioned Amazon, and there's a handful of others. But really, I think there's so much opportunity for Tampa Bay in terms of the absence of a state income tax. We do have somewhat low taxes based compared to other states, of course, like New York, New Jersey, California. And what does that session look like? And have you had some of those strategic sessions with those folks?
We do. We plug in with the various economic development folks in the county, the city, and of course, Temple Terrace and Plant City as well. We're largely we provide information. We can give folks that are looking to relocate here an idea of what they may be looking at in terms of taxes and that kind of thing. We can't proactively, because we have to track the market, and we base the assessments based on the market as we talked about in the first segment of January 1st of a given year. And we can't chase sales, and we can't kind of predict what the market's going to be because it changes. And we can't give unfair advantage or anything that would be considered corporate welfare, by bringing a certain company here that may have a competing interest across the street or somewhere else in the county that isn't getting the same consideration. I think that's important. And that's important for anyone that's in the business of trying to attract businesses. And particularly right now when there's so many unknowns out there, how we go about that. But I think it is important that you have an economic development, strategy, both in the city and the county. And to the extent that we can provide information to help folks know what they're looking at in terms of what the tax burden may be. A lot of times that could be the difference on whether their pro forma works or not, or what ends up attracting them. So certainly we are plugged into that as well. And we're just the Hillsborough County Property Appraiser's office. We have just a wealth of information that folks can draw on, both in the case of large corporate relocations or just individual businesses that may want to access our data or allow us to help them accessing our data to help them in their business.
Yeah, those corporate relocations, that would be a nice plug-in for, our team at Keller Williams Realty. How would a real estate company, be able to do, are we able to get involved in those types of scenarios? Have you seen that play out?
I'm not sure. I would imagine that some of those things are kept pretty close to the vest from within when it's a particular company. Things like when Amazon, that kind of thing is usually like a national bid, where they're looking to open 5, locations around the country. We know about those kinds of things. I think sometimes corporations are kind of doing negotiations behind the scenes,
right, for
various reasons to keep a certain advantage. So I wouldn't know how an individual, can at that stage. But once the relocation is down the line a bit, so I think that at that point you can get involved. And I think that to the extent, and maybe and I'm not sure that if there is this kind of handshake between public and private entities, but to the extent that you can provide or the information about housing and the cost of housing, and the resources that perhaps folks that are relocating here could draw upon, that's probably a good idea. But I would direct you to the economic development folks with the county and the city and see how that plug-in would happen.
Right. Yeah. Economic development. That's a good idea. All right. So we talked about the port. We talked about portability, the homestead, talked about the trim notices. What else? Is there anything else topical that you can think of that we may have overlooked here, Bob?
Gosh, we touched on everything. We even touched a little football here. So
yeah.
We've done a pretty good job. So again, I would just, from the standpoint of the folks that are watching or listening, know that the Property Appraiser's office is up and running, that we haven't missed a beat from that standpoint. We're submitted our tax roll on time and preliminarily it's been approved. So we're in good shape from that standpoint. If you need to come and see us, the county center obviously is still closed down to a large extent. Most of the branch offices that are county owned are in the same situation. Keep your eye open for how those openings will take place. But in the meantime, if you go on our website, just about anything that you could do in person, you can do on the website virtually with us. You can set up a virtual meeting like the one we're having right now. You can see it. The notice is right at the top of the page here on the front page of our website. So if you want to schedule a virtual meeting for customer service, we can do that. We can certainly do it over the phone, or if you don't mind, if you want to see somebody in person, we can do it that way as well. We also have a new chat feature, so you can. Some people hate that thing that pops up at the bottom and says that you can chat with somebody, but we have that ability as well. So we're doing everything that we can. I will tell you that we were fortunate in one way that we had to bug out of our office a couple of years ago because they were redoing the air conditioning in our downtown office. So we, at the time, I made it a point that we then set up contingency plans that not only were piggyback sort of what we do in terms of if we had a hurricane or something like that, but expanding that for how we would work virtually. So a lot of those things were already in place. So we were able to kind of put that, take that plan and immediately implement it. And to be honest with you, a lot of the plans that we had already set up, a lot of other offices within the county have asked us for those plans, and they've followed our model. So I'm very proud of that as well, that we were sort of taking the lead on how to deal with what I think no one could have anticipated exactly, but we did have contingency plans for how allowing our folks to work from home to be able to a phone system that allowed us to do that, as well as having the technical resources to be able to set up, virtual office settings, again, so that our folks wouldn't miss a beat.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. All right, Bob, thanks so much. Appreciate your time today. Bob Henriquez, Hillsborough County Property Appraiser on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Appreciate you, Bob.
Absolutely, Brandon. Next time we'll be in the same room together.
Hey, that sounds good. All right, buddy. Well, take care, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, when we come back, we've got our expert contributor. We got Fred Muth coming up, Tampa Screens and Aluminum. We're going to talk about these awesome opportunities to improve your properties and by adding on that in-between space on your property, as well as our feel-good story of the day. A school librarian is using drones to deliver books to kids all summer. Stay with us. Consumer Quarterback Show, consumerqb.com.
Hey, this is Grant Cardone, and you're listening to Consumer Quarterback Show, hosted by my friend Brandon Rhymes. Do not touch that dial. I'll come right through the radio and grab your throat.
To get in touch with Brandon, call 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. You're listening to the Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes, cutting through your typical media nonsense and offering you a rational and unbiased perspective on current events and life in Tampa Bay. Online at consumerqb.com.
All right, welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. Brandon Rhymes here, your host of the Consumer Quarterback Show. I want to remind you, you serve, you save. If you are military, veteran, first responders, nurse, teachers, we're taking care of you with our Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. We're offering discounts, quarter to a half a point back on buying, selling, or investing with the Platinum MVP team at Keller Williams Realty. We want to help you win. 4214 Peaceful Lane is a great opportunity for a builder developer up in Land O'Lakes areas, right on Bell Lake. We've got 8 lots available, 5 of which are right on the waterfront at 4214 Peaceful Lane in Land O'Lakes. A great opportunity to own real estate right here in beautiful Tampa Bay. Check out all of our listings at Platinum MVP Team. .kw.com. That's Platinum MVP Team.kw.com.
Somewhere sunny and 75.
This segment is brought to you by Brothers Easy Moving, the official moving partner of the Consumer Quarterback Show. Brothers Easy Moving, and I can tell you from firsthand experience, they are a first-class organization. They do a great job whether you're planning a local move, long-distance move, packing, junk hauling, and more. Brothers Easy Moving. Let them know the Real Estate Quarterback sent you and take them up on special offers just by mentioning that you're a fan of the Consumer Quarterback Show. All right, we got our friend Fred Muth on the line, but we're going to do our feel-good story first. Every day we're going to tell you something positive in our feel-good story of the day.
Tell me something good.
All right, so a middle school librarian in Virginia has found a way to ensure that kids can still rent books during a time when libraries are closed to the public. She's delivering them by drone. Kelly Pasick is one of the first customers of a drone delivery service launched in Christiansburg, Virginia, last year by Wing. After seeing how quickly her household items were delivered, she petitioned the company to take on library books, too. She asked the school's superintendent, Mark Muir, who was immediately on board, and, quote, the Montgomery County School Board Public Schools were the first public school system in the world to use Wing to deliver school books, library books to our students, Pasick said, quote, and, quote, we're thrilled that this opportunity is a real unique way to deliver resources to our students and practically on demand, and, quote, our libraries are essential and unique parts of the community, and it's extremely important for our students to continue to have access to the resources. And just another example, there's our feel-good story of the day, but just another example of how, COVID-19's affected this world and kind of the new norm that we're seeing here. And Fred Muth, Tampa Screens and Aluminum, welcome to the Consumer Quarterback Show. And how are things going on your end, buddy?
Things are fantastic. Hello to everybody in the studio. I wish I could be in the studio. I'm still a little, apprehensive about, being in close quarters, but that's going to change fairly soon. Business is phenomenal. I always talk about Tampa Screens. Maybe it's the reviews they get. I don't have to look for leads. They come at us from all different angles. And generally, when I take a lead, I talk to the homeowner, and they'll specifically tell me, we would like you to give us a quote based on the reputation of the company. That makes me feel good, Brandon.
Nice. I like that. Yeah, that's good, man. You got the reputation. You're able to increase the value of the property with these beautiful additions that you offer.
There's no doubt about it. I never like to make the statement that whatever the price tag is of the enclosure is going to be the additional price tag on the property. Obviously the appraised value will go up. But generally, when we do install an enclosure on a property, the value is calculated on the price of the permit, and then obviously that's the assessed value. So we know what assessed is versus appraised, and the numbers just go up. And then basically, if a potential home buyer sees that particular parcel, and that lanai is what they want, sometimes they purchase the parcel based on the lanai. Can you believe that?
They purchased the parcel of land based on the lanai. Absolutely.
It's not because I'm a lanai salesman, but I've heard that. I go to homeowners. I go to their properties, and some of them will have an existing enclosure there with a beautiful backdrop. And they'll tell me that they purchased this property because of the enclosure and the beautiful backdrop. And now I'm there because it's now time to give them a quote on changing that to the pano view, that's the one where we open it up on the back side.
Right.
You've seen them, right? You've seen them pano view enclosures?
Love it. Yeah, we're putting them up on the screen right now as well on a TV side.
Oh, I love it. It's the nicest thing that's hit this industry since I've been involved in this industry. And, like 10 years ago, for example, I could not offer that. I would contact people, and they would say, we want the open view on the back, and there was no specific engineering for it 10, 12 years ago. At least in this area, there wasn't. And when that engineering hit, and we started to offer that, boy, they sell like hotcakes.
Yeah, it's such a great opportunity to reach out and have that done. So what are the current procedures then? If you're dealing with the pandemic, we've got the folks that are still nervous about the pandemic, the flu bug, and what are your procedures out there?
Well, number one, I have a very, very good position in the working world to continue to operate because 90% of what I do is outside. My measurements are done on the outside. And I very seldom come into the house at this point. And if I do, I mask up. There's no doubt about it. Because this thing is, we don't know the extent of this thing. And then when it's time to sign a job, I've got a very unique procedure. And I specifically tell people I like to stay 10 to 12 feet apart. Yep. And I wear a mask, you wear a mask. They respect that. I have my tape measure there. If they get within 10 feet, I prop the tape out and I poke them. Just kidding. And then we sit down on the outside back or somewhere outside in the shade, hopefully. My paperwork is in order. I set the paperwork down on a clipboard, walk away. It's all well marked, documented. They sign, put the deposit check in there. They walk away. I pick it up, and I go, and I say to them, someday we're going to shake hands. And it works.
Nice. I like that. Yeah,
I signed 4 of them last week like that, and the people were amazed. They thought, wow, this is really working out. And I told them, I said, I signed jobs faster this way than I did in the past when I would sit inside and go through it with you. I says, it works out well. So it's working out.
Yeah, good to hear, man. Good to hear it. And you talk about, adding value to properties. We had Hillsborough County property appraiser Bob Henriquez on the show, and he talked about what you just mentioned, the ability to have, the assessed value versus the actual value. And I think when you find these homes that went through the additional process of adding on these screen rooms, you're definitely seeing a value increase with that.
Yeah, and like, for example, let's say the value of the job is $10,000. Well, technically, it's going. Your property is now going to be assessed an additional $10,000. Okay. Now your appraised value, is usually what, 20% higher than somewhere in that range.
Yeah, that's right.
20% higher than the assessed. So now you're going to be, if you decide to move the property, sell it, you're going to recoup a little more than you spent. In most cases, I mean, you're going to try for that. Obviously, everybody negotiates the price in different directions.
Yeah, that's right. And we're talking with Fred Muth here, Tampa Screens and Aluminum, longtime friend of the Consumer Quarterback Show, and been involved with our program for many years now, probably 5 or 6 years, I believe, one of our longest running expert contributors, partners on the show. So, Fred, how important is it right now? We talk a lot about supporting the local economy. I just had Freddie DeFelice over at the house. He was making an adjustment on his waterscience.us system that he installed for us, and he had mentioned, how important is it now for us as small business owners, middle class, workers, folks that are looking to, try to continue to survive during this pandemic? How important is it for us to work together?
Very, very important. And working together is the key. Perfect example. You mentioned Freddie DeFelice.
Yeah. What
a piece of work that guy is. Him and I go back, I think, 15, 18 years.
Yeah.
We've worked so many projects together. And, with the network of people that we work with the radio show, we all work together. Ray Hall gave me a very nice lead. I signed that one up, and I passed the names and numbers on to everybody else that's part of our program, and I know that they're writing business from it. The network is beautiful. And the thing is, with the people who you bring into your network, they're qualified. They are highly qualified people.
Right.
So I cannot pass their name and number on and expect to have any negative feedback from these people.
That's right. Absolutely. Well, good stuff.
It's a great group.
Fred, we appreciate you calling in. We're coming in to close out our show. Thanks so much. Keep up the good work out there, buddy.
Thank you. I got to get over to your house one of these days.
Let's do it. We'll talk soon, man.
We're going to do it. Thank you, Brandon.
All right, buddy. And that's
Take
Fred
care.
DeFelice. And Fred Muth, Tampa Screens and Aluminum, and another great show. Hey, we want you to please go out there and consider committing a random act of kindness, something as simple as packing up some food or clothing, donating blood, donating time, swinging a hammer for Habitat for Humanity. We'll see you next time right here on the Consumer Quarterback Show. Check out consumerqb.com.
You've been listening to The Consumer Quarterback, Brandon Rhymes. Whether it's real estate, consumer, or financial advice, let Brandon call your next play. Contact Brandon Rhymes at 813-670-7372. That's 813-670-7372. Online at consumerqb.com. And join us next time.